All right. Hello and welcome to the Space Between Ideas. Um, what is going on here? Now, I just tried to record a video a couple minutes ago. It didn't work. The audio just cut out for no reason. Now, I want to find out if I can share the screen and then click this button here. No.
Your app. What are the main features you envision? What makes it different from general project, task management tools like the ones we're discussing? Once I understand your vision, we can compare it much more effectively against linktomonday.com and click up to see where it fits in and what makes it unique.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop hearing myself on the other one. Let's delete this. Okay. All right. So the idea behind this video that I'm doing right now is that, well, I mean, I clicked the coding partner for Gemini. I got Gemini Advanced for another 10 days. And I also have like Cursor and Windsurf and Replete. I'm not happy with the results I'm getting with these coding apps. And I think maybe um, I need to create a better plan. So, but also I woke up this morning with this idea on my mind, like, I think I need to do some competitor research and try to understand where does my app fit in this market. And I just got this feeling like, what's the point? Like, we're living in an AI world. So I need to have an AI first approach to this project. And yeah, I want people to use the ideas. It's like my software idea, this app idea is it's a brainstorming tool. It's to help people to brainstorm. It's to help people to develop some habits of thinking. Now, unfortunately, when I test it out with a lot of people are having problems with thinking and coming up with ideas, coming up with the answers. So the brainstorming experience is supposed to help them to what? To start to think and chat about some important ideas when it comes to project management, task management, getting things done. But sometimes people they suffer because they're not really sure what to do. Even if I give them the prompts of these, so what I'm doing is it's like prompt engineering. And even after I give them the prompts, they're still having a challenge. All right. So how come I can't? So I can't create audio. Mm. All right. The idea behind this image is that I would like to help you understand that the very first thing a person does when they open up my app is that they're going to jump onto this page where they can create a project. Now, of course, they can also click the profile button, which would send them back to the profile page. And then in the profile page, that's where people would manage their user information and their sign up information and be able to change their password or maybe migrate their profile to a different email address I guess that means they would change their email address. And there could be other settings in that section which would change some of the aspects of how they see the application. So that is the place where we could keep the database items which are connected with the user interface, and we can keep the elements of the database which are connected to the user interface. We could have that in a different place than where we would be creating tables in order to save the app, the information that people create within their projects. And so on this page, when you click the project button, then something would appear, like you can see under the title, the word projects. The P represents that it's a project. And then if you click those three dots, then it will give you the ability to rename the project or to delete the project. Likely the name, if you create a new project, likely the default name would just be the date and the time. And then the project is nesting within the user. So the project belongs directly to the user, and the database, which is managing the information of the user, would have some element which would connect it to the concept of creating a project. And then the project, it would have some information about the project name and other best practices for when you create projects. Now you can see there's a button where it looks like you can move the card up and down within the container. And the database that would store the information about where the project is located in the container would be stored on a different table than the table which is saving projects. Ready to continue?
Okay, thank you for that detailed explanation. I understand the flow much better now. Here's a summary of what I've gathered about your app's initial structure and functionality. 1. Landing page. The project page is the main hub where users land and can see their projects. 2. Profile management. Users can navigate to a separate profile section to manage their account details, email, password, and potentially UI preferences. 3. Project creation. Users can create new projects using the Plus Project button. By default, these might be named with the current date, time. 4. Project listing. Projects are displayed in a list. The P column seems to be an identifier or type indicator for projects. The name column shows the project name. The menu provides options like renaming or deleting a project. The up-down arrows allow users to reorder their projects in the list. 5. Data structure. Projects belong directly to a user. You're thinking about separating database tables. One for user, profile, UI settings, another for core project details, like name, and potentially a third table or mechanism just to store the display order of the projects for each user. This separation is a good architectural consideration. This clarifies the initial user experience and the high-level organization. It sounds like you have a solid foundation for managing the projects themselves at a container level. Yes, I'm ready to continue. Now, I'm keen to hear what goes on inside one of these projects. What happens when a user clicks on a project name in the list? What kind of work or information management does the app facilitate within that project scope? This is where we'll likely find the core functionality to compare with linktomonday.com and click up.
All right, so I could show you the next page, the user interface for the next page, or I could tell you its functionality. Which would you prefer first?
That's a great question. Both are helpful, but understanding the functionality first would be slightly more beneficial at this stage. Knowing what a user can do inside a project and what problem that functionality solves will give me the core requirements and purpose. Then, seeing the UI mockup afterwards will help illustrate how you envision presenting that functionality. So, could you please tell me about the functionality of the page a user sees when they open a project? What can they do there?
So the purpose of the app is for new managers or mid-level managers who are working with people directly, and they want a little tool just to help them to stay on top of their management responsibilities when it comes to helping people to understand what tasks they need to be working on, and also how to stay focused and motivated and make sure that the projects are moving along a clear outline and making progress. And I believe that a manager, in order to manage projects and people, there are 5 core brainstorming exercises, and we can call these modules. Each of the modules has around 5 or 6 questions, and those questions will help the user, help the manager to have a conversation with their team and have a really core understanding of what the project is about and what it's going to take in order to deliver on that project and complete it. So the 5 modules are called vision, objective and scoreboard, touch base, brainstorm, and choose. Vision is a simple module with 5 or 6 questions. We could also call it strategy. The idea came from a YouTube video which was helping people to understand the word strategy and what are the most important elements that we need to talk about when discussing strategy or vision for a project. So you click the vision button and it will navigate to a page that has text boxes, input boxes, and question prompts. Next is the objective and scoreboard. This is a little bit up in the air right now because the objective module has 5 or 6 questions. And then based on those questions, you're going to be able to create a list of tasks that need to be completed. That's what's called a scoreboard. I believe that in order for you to accomplish the vision of the project and complete the project, then you need to have a scoreboard, which is the list of tasks that need to get done. And in order to really understand what tasks need to go into the scoreboard, then you need to go through this objective 5 or 6 questions from the objectives module. Finally, after you have the objective figured out, the objective brainstorming conversation is finished, and then you create the scoreboard or list of tasks, then and also probably that table will have other things like the person who's going to do the task, the date by when that task should be completed, and also the status of the task. So next is touch base. And touch base is after everybody has that task list and everybody knows what there need to be done, what needs to be done, and everyone knows when things need to get done by, the manager needs to be able to touch base with the people on their team. So the touch base gives them an additional 5 or 6 questions. When you click that button, it navigates to another page, and the manager can go through those questions with their staff in order to understand what are they working on in general, which task are they working on, what are they going to do today, and then also if they need to maybe change something in the task in the scoreboard, maybe update a status, maybe change the person who's responsible for the task, or maybe change the date. So I'll just finish here, and then if you understand all those things, then I will continue and discuss brainstorm and choose.
Okay, this is fantastic. Thank you for explaining the core purpose and the first 3 modules. This gives a much clearer picture of what your app aims to do and who it's for. Here's my understanding so far. 1. Target user and goal. The app is specifically designed for new to mid-level managers to help them structure their interactions with their teams, clarify project goals, assign tasks, and track progress effectively. It acts as a focused guide for essential management activities. 2. Core methodology. The app is built around 5 distinct modules: vision, objective and scoreboard, touchbase, brainstorm, choose, each containing structured questions, around 5 to 6 per module, to facilitate specific, crucial conversations between the manager and their team. 3. Module breakdown. First 3, vision, strategy. Clicking this opens a page with prompts, questions and input fields to help define and document the high-level project vision, objective and scoreboard. Objective. Similar to vision, clicking this leads to questions, prompts to define concrete project objectives through discussion. Scoreboard, task list. This is generated based on the objective discussion. It's essentially a task list, likely a table, containing task descriptions, assignees, due dates, and statuses, the actionable plan. Touchbase. This module provides questions specifically for regular check-ins after the scoreboard is active. It helps managers understand progress, what are you working on today, and facilitates updates to the scoreboard, changing status, assignee, dates. 4. Key differentiator. The core unique aspect seems to be this structured, question-driven approach embedded directly into the workflow. Instead of just providing a blank canvas for tasks, like many generic tools, your app actively guides managers through specific conversational and planning steps using these modules. The explicit link between answering the objective questions and creating the scoreboard task list is a key part of this guided process. Comparison thoughts. Compared to Link2Monday.com and ClickUp, which are highly flexible, general-purpose platforms, your app is much more focused and opinionated. It guides a specific management workflow rather than offering infinite customization. The scoreboard task list with assignee, due date, status is functionally similar to task management features in Link2Monday.com, but its creation and context are tied directly to your app's structured modules. The structured question prompts are the unique selling point here. While you could build templates in Link2Monday.com to mimic this, your app integrates it as a core, guided experience. This sounds like a potentially valuable tool for managers who might feel overwhelmed by complex platforms or unsure how to structure these crucial conversations. I understand the first 3 modules: vision, setting direction, objective, defining goals, leading to scoreboard, creating the task list, and touchbase, regular check-ins and updates. Please continue and tell me about the brainstorm and choose modules. I'm interested to see how they fit into this structured workflow.
Now, there's something a little bit that's changed from in the past. In the past, I wanted people to go through these modules by themselves. And the reason I wanted them to go through these modules by themselves is that they would need this experience in order to improve their ability to think. So the whole idea behind this app is to give managers the opportunity to have brainstorming activities, give their staff an opportunity to talk about their thoughts and to center their thoughts around some key areas. Now, imagine that you were my staff and that we're going to go through this brainstorming opportunity together. I think that sometimes the staff, they might decide that they don't know the answers or they don't want to go through the exercise experience, and they're just going to connect directly to AI. So I'm going to have this experience with you because right now you are my only staff. And also, I think people might use this app with AI to get better replies. So I'm going to upload the vision module, and I want you to, based on your understanding of what we're doing right now, to give the project a project name, or if you think there's more than one project that we're working on, list the projects that we're working on. And then for the project that we're working on right now, I want you to answer these vision questions. So when you're ready, I'll upload the image of the vision module with the vision questions, and then I'll ask you to reply to those questions. All right. So I'm just going to get my vision template ready to go. In general, I would just say that I've been hesitant to do this, but
Okay, I understand the shift in perspective and the core purpose now. Thank you for clarifying. So, the primary goal is less about facilitating manager-team conversations directly, and more about providing a structured thinking tool for the manager themselves. The modules serve as guided brainstorming exercises to help the manager clarify their own thoughts on vision, objectives, etc., for a project. Using it with AI, like me, or potentially with team members are ways to engage with that structured thinking process. This makes a lot of sense, especially for improving clarity and focus. I understand the request. 1. You want me to act as your AI staff in this context. 2. You will upload the image containing the vision module questions. 3. Based on our current conversation about developing this management app idea, I should identify the projects we're conceptually working on, select the primary project, developing your app, answer the specific vision questions from the image for that app development project, from my perspective as your AI assistant helping you define it. Yes, I am ready. Please upload the image with the vision module questions, and I will do my best to answer them based on our discussions so far, acting as your AI staff supporting the development of this app.
something went wrong. Something went wrong again. Maybe it's not finished. Okay, I have the vision module questions from the image. As your AI staff, let's apply these to the projects we're currently discussing. Develop your focused management guidance application. Here are my thoughts based on the conversation. What is the purpose of the project? Your purpose is to create a dedicated software tool that empowers new mid-level managers to aim to provide a clear, structured framework through guided question modules to help them effectively think through and manage key aspects of their projects and team interactions, specifically vision, objective, task planning, and progress check-ins, touch-based brainstorm, choose. The goal is to enhance their clarity, focus, effectiveness by simplifying these core management responsibilities, potentially using AI as a brainstorming partner. What do you hope to achieve? We'll hope to achieve a functional, intuitive application that managers find genuinely useful for navigating their core responsibilities. Success would mean delivering a tool that is significantly less complex than broad platforms like Monday.com, ClickUp, but highly effective for its specific purpose. Key achievements would be developing the core modules, creating a simple user interface for project listing and module navigation, implementing the scoreboard task management features linked to objective module, ultimately launching a minimal viable product, validates key value structured question based for manager. What is the market competing in? You're entering a broad market for project management and productivity software. However, we're not aiming to completely directly feature for feature with giants like Monday.com or ClickUp. Instead, we're targeting specific niche, structured management thinking, and guidance tools. This might also touch upon marketing for lightweight task managers, coaching tools, even digital brainstorming aids, but our unique angle is the integrated methodology-driven modules for managers. What are some important characteristics for your customers? Our target customers, managers likely share these characteristics. Experience level, new mid-level managers, possibly in their first few leadership roles. Pain points, may feel overwhelmed by a specific scope of management, unsure how to structure key conversations or planning activities, potentially finding comprehensive PM tools too complex or time consuming, seeking structured guidance, simplicity, actionable framework, directly manage individuals or small, medium teams, value clarity and efficiency, potentially open to self-reflection and using tools like AI for brainstorming. They want to be more effective, confident in their management role. Our strategy winning hinges on differentiation through focus and methodology, niche targeting, laser focusing on the needs of new mid-level managers seeking structure rather than trying to be everything to everyone. Unique methodology, core value proposition is to integrate a set of guided question modules to actively structure managers' thinking, planning processes, simplicity, offering a clean, intuitive interface that is easy to learn and use, avoid features like load of larger platforms, actionable outcome, directly linking brainstorming modules to tangible outputs. Potentially AI integration, designing the experience to work well with AI interaction could be a unique advantage and align with modern workflows. Value proposition, providing clear value by making essential management tasks less daunting and more systematic. How does this initial draft? Great. All right. All right, good. Now, the thing is that excuse me. Before we continue, I think it would be helpful to talk about brainstorm and choose. Brainstorm and choose are information that comes from a book called Create Crucial Insight by Thomas Buchholz. And this is copyright information. And this is where the experience that I'd like to present in the app is in connection with the research that I've been doing, where I have spoken to over 400 people, over 4,000 hours, and I've been testing these ideas in order to try to figure out some kind of workflow that will help people when they are managing people and projects. So rather than uploading the objective and scoreboard or touch-base modules, I'm going to begin by uploading the brainstorm module so that you can understand that sometimes people don't really know what to do next for it, or they might have some objective in mind, but it might not be the best idea. So let's begin with the brainstorm module in order to try to understand what objectives are potentially most important to go after right now as we begin this process of developing this piece of software. Are you ready for the brainstorming module attachment?
Okay, I understand perfectly. Thank you for providing that background and context. It makes a lot of sense to introduce the brainstorm module now, especially given its purpose. If it's designed, based on Thomas Buchholz's work and your extensive research, to help clarify potential paths or identify the most crucial objectives when there's uncertainty, then applying it after establishing the high-level vision but before setting concrete objectives, scoreboard seems like a very logical step in our current process of defining this app development project. It's impressive that you've grounded this in research and external frameworks. That adds significant weight to the workflow you're designing. So, yes, let's adjust our plan. We've defined the vision, and now we'll use the brainstorm module to help us explore and identify the most important objectives to pursue right now for building this software. I am ready. Please upload the brainstorm module attachment, and I'll engage with it as your AI staff to help brainstorm potential objectives for our project.
Great. So this is the moment of humility where, I mean, how many hours have we done doing this? And now I just admit that I don't really know what the next best step is for this objective. For this project, I don't know which objectives we should go after. And I think that an AI tool could potentially provide me with some insight that I I can come up with on my own. And also Tom's work is the center focus of this project. And so we'll just go directly to Tom's work in order to know what to do next. The moment we've all been waiting for.
Okay, the brainstorm module image is clear. This looks like a powerful framework for generating and refining ideas. As your AI staff, let's apply these prompts to our project, developing the focused management guidance application. Here's a brainstorming session based on these questions. 1. Imitate trends, learning from others in current movements. How are they doing it? Competitors like LinkToMonday.com and ClickUp offer highly flexible, feature-rich platforms with extensive customization, various views, Kanban, Gantt, list, integrations, and automations. LinkToMonday.com excels in visual appeal and intuitive workflow building. ClickUp focuses on being an all-in-one solution with built-in docs, whiteboards, etc. Best practices and trends. AI integration. AI is rapidly being added for summarization, content generation, task automation, and insights, e.g., Notion, AI, ClickUp Brain. User experience, UX, simplicity, intuitive navigation, and clean design are crucial for adoption, especially for non-technical users. Visual clarity, like LinkToMonday.com, is often praised. Templates. Providing useful templates is a common practice. Asana, LinkToMonday.com, to speed up setup. Collaboration. Real-time updates, commenting, and integrations with communication tools, Slack, Teams, are standard. Mobile accessibility. Having a functional mobile app is increasingly important. Niche tools. There's a trend towards focused tools that do one thing extremely well, contrasting with the all-in-one platforms. Examples. We can imitate the clean UI patterns seen in modern apps, provide helpful onboarding, potentially use a template structure for the modules, even if the questions are fixed, and ensure mobile responsiveness. We should follow security best practices from the start. 2. Ideate. Thinking outside the box for our app. Deeper AI capabilities. Beyond just brainstorming, AI could potentially summarize answers across different modules for a project overview. Suggest relevant, touch-based questions based on recent scoreboard activity. Help draft initial scoreboard tasks based on objective module answers. Offer analysis or identify potential contradictions in the inputs across modules. Guided onboarding, an interactive tutorial that walks a new manager through their first project using the modules. Export reporting. Allow exporting module answers and the scoreboard into simple report formats, PDF, CSV. Module customization, light. Perhaps allow users to add 1 to 2 custom questions per module to tailor it slightly to their context, without losing the core structure. Integration with learning resources. Link specific module questions to external articles or short video tips on that management concept, e.g., link vision questions to resources on strategy. Progress visualization. Simple visuals showing which modules are complete for a project or tracking scoreboard completion rates. 3. Ignore. What not to do. Learning from failures. Avoid feature creep. Don't try to become a full project management suite. Reject adding complex Gantt charts, resource management, time tracking, beyond maybe simple estimates on the scoreboard, or extensive integrations unrelated to the core workflow. Stay focused on the guided modules and scoreboard. Don't overcomplicate the UI, keep the navigation simple. Project list to select project to access modules, scoreboard. Avoid hidden menus or complex settings. Don't make AI obligatory. AI interaction should be optional and assistive, not forced. Users should be able to use the modules effectively on their own or with human teams. Avoid generic questions. The value is in the specificity and structure of the module questions. Don't dilute them or make them too open-ended. Don't isolate modules. Ensure there's a clear flow and connection between the information captured in different modules, e.g., vision should inform objectives, objectives inform scoreboard. Don't neglect onboarding. The methodology needs to be explained simply and clearly to new users. 4. Integrate. speeding up development and delivery. Use UI kits, frameworks, leverage existing front-end component libraries like React Material UI, Tailwind UI, etc., to build the interface faster. MVP focus. Prioritize building the core loop. User login to project creation, listing to vision module to objective module to scoreboard creation, viewing to touch-base module, with scoreboard update capability. Get this core functional first. Leverage AI coding tools. Use tools like GitHub Copilot or Ask Me, your AI assistant, to help generate boilerplate code, write unit tests, debug issues, and explain code snippets. Cloud infrastructure. Utilize managed cloud services like Oz Amplify, Firebase, Heroku, Vercel for backend, database, authentication, and hosting to reduce infrastructure setup time. Iterative feedback. Build a clickable prototype or wireframe early. Release an early version, MVP, to a small group of target managers and iterate rapidly based on their feedback. Modular codebase. Structure the code so that each module, vision, objective, etc., is relatively self-contained, making it easier to manage and update. 5. Interfere. Building a competitive advantage, slowing competitors. Own the niche. Become the recognized go-to tool specifically for structured management thinking for new, mid-level managers. Build authority through content, blog posts, guides, related to the methodology. Refine the core asset, questions, continuously improve the quality, clarity, and impact of the module questions based on user feedback and outcomes. This unique intellectual property is hard to replicate well. Build community. Foster a community, e.g., a simple forum or Slack group, for users to share tips on using the tool and discuss the management challenges it addresses. This creates stickiness. Simplicity as a moat. By intentionally staying simple and focused, we make it unattractive for large platforms to compete directly, as they are incentivized to add complexity. Our simplicity becomes a feature they can't easily replicate without undermining their own models. Exceptional onboarding and support. Make it incredibly easy and pleasant for new managers to understand and adopt the tool's methodology. Brand identity. Develop a strong brand identity associated with clarity, confidence, and effective management guidance. This brainstorming exercise provides a lot of potential directions and considerations. What stands out most to you, or which areas would you like to explore further as we think about defining the initial objectives for development?
All right, so now obviously the issue now is that our good buddy here has outlined a huge amount of information, and we need to simplify that information into something more simple. But more particularly, we need to identify the project names. And in order to identify the project names, then we need to have some kind of methodology for understanding the concept. All right, so now you can see why we use this module first. It gives us a very big overview of a lot of different elements of this project. And you can also see how it would be impossible for this one project to handle all of those things at the same time. Yes, it's true that we could break down all those different ideas that you just explained into objectives, and then we would be able to perhaps create a container on the modules menu page, which would keep a history of the modules which we've created. Therefore, it would be easier to keep up with all of the objectives that you have outlined and decide which objectives we want to pursue, and then also what kinds of scoreboards we would need to develop for each of those objectives, and then start to do the touch base module in order to start to get those tasks done. Also, the choose module it would help us to decide which objectives to work on first, and then we could create those objectives first. But before we use that methodology and create that large amount of objectives, I want to introduce this idea from a psychologist named Anders Ericsson, who created this idea of deliberate practice. And I want to upload an image. And well, in the image, why don't I just explain the image? It might be easier if I just explain it. The idea is that if you want to be a really good football player, then you need to identify the categories in order to play football. For example, physical fitness, ball handling, and spatial awareness. Those are the fundamental skills that a person would need in order to perform well in the activity of competitive football. Physical fitness, you can't directly improve your physical fitness. You have to first talk about what categories are connected with physical fitness. For example, speed, power, strength, endurance, and agility. Or for ball handling, you might use categories such as speed, control, strength, and quickness. So the original categories become sub-items or subcategories, or category sub-items. And spatial awareness might include things like peripheral vision, balance, body positioning, and an understanding of the field and how people move around in the field while playing the game. For example, what positions do what specific function. Now, also in these areas, they're not specific enough in order to design an exercise. So we would need to break them down further into things like elements. For example, with physical fitness, we have those sub-items, but then we can be more specific and explain things like acceleration, deceleration, turning, endurance, top speed. And those specific things like acceleration, and deceleration. So you could have an exercise where you have two pylons, and when I say go, the person would run. They would burst with a huge amount of speed in order to see how fast they could accelerate. Then after they ran maybe 5 meters or 10 meters, then they would need to stop as quickly as possible, decelerate. So you'd have two pylons. The first one, we accelerate away from the first pylon. Once you reach the second pylon, you need to stop. Then you'd walk back to the first pylon and begin again. That way you are designing an exercise which directly influences your ability to increase your acceleration. The acceleration would influence subcategory items like speed, maybe endurance, maybe agility. And in turn, those things would connect to physical fitness. And the same thing with ball handling. For example, we could identify elements like tackle, steal, pass, shoot, dribble, and we can design exercises that would improve those specific elements. So now as we think about how we're going to move forward with this project, my question is, should we break the project down into a series of projects, or should we handle all of these things that you've identified in the brainstorming module within this one project and list them as objectives? Slow thinking.
You've brought up an excellent point by introducing Anders Ericsson's concept of deliberate practice. That analogy of breaking down a complex skill like playing football into categories, subcategories, and finally specific, trainable elements is highly relevant here. Our brainstorm session indeed generated a wide array of ideas and potential directions, touching upon core app functionality, the modules, the scoreboard, user interface and user experience, simplicity, onboarding, advanced technology, AI, integration, development process, speeding up, using tools, market positioning and competition, niche focus, differentiation, community building. Trying to manage all of these as simple objectives under one monolithic, develop app, project could become overwhelming and unfocused, just like trying to improve physical fitness without breaking it down into speed, strength, agility, etc. Therefore, applying the deliberate practice thinking, I would recommend option B. Break the overall initiative down into a series of distinct projects. Here's why. 1. Alignment with methodology. This directly mirrors the deliberate practice approach. Each project can represent a major category or fundamental skill required to build and launch the app successfully, like physical fitness or ball handling. 2. Improved focus. Each project can have a clear scope and dedicated set of objectives. This allows for focused effort, similar to designing specific exercises for acceleration or dribbling. For example, we could have projects like Project, Core Module and Scoreboard MVP, Focus, building the essential user-facing features, Project, UI, UX design and refinement, Focus, ensuring usability and intuitive design, Project, AI, feature exploration, Focus, researching and prototyping potential, AI, enhancements, Project, go-to-market strategy, Focus, defining positioning, target audience refinement, initial marketing, Project, development infrastructure and process, Focus, setting up tools, C, CD, etc. 3. Clearer prioritization. It becomes much easier to prioritize which project to focus on first. For an MVP, the core module and scoreboard MVP project would likely take precedence. Ideas related to community or advanced AI could be tackled in later, separate projects. The choose module you mentioned could be very effective at prioritizing between these projects or the objectives within a high priority project. 4. Manageable objectives. Within each project, you can define more specific and achievable objectives, the subcategories. For instance, under Core Module and Scoreboard MVP, objectives could be implement Vision Module UI, develop Scoreboard data model, connect Objective Module to Scoreboard. 5. Scalability. As the app evolves, new initiatives, like internationalization, major new features, integrations, can be added as new, distinct projects, keeping the overall structure organized. While keeping everything under one project might seem simpler initially, using multiple projects provides better structure, focus, and manageability, aligning perfectly with the deliberate practice principles you've highlighted. We can still maintain an overarching view, but the day-to-day work becomes more organized and targeted. Does this approach of breaking down the work into multiple, focused projects resonate with you based on the deliberate practice model?
Yeah, so let's make a list of the projects. And since you, well, is it possible that you have the functionality to maintain a database so that we have a list of the projects and then